people already in the house. Tom the Hungry Jerk says, "Hi, everyone." Then Shaven says, "Hiya, Thrash." So far, that's it, but hey, that's two, and considering it's not even 8 o'clock yet, that's pretty darn good. You guys hear me okay? Been having a little trouble with this mic. This is that really awesome mic that Dave sent me. I think I'm having trouble with my settings. I also have a habit of putting my hand in front of it. Oh, Tom Hungry Jerk says, yes. I assume that means yes, you can hear me. And I'm going to try like the Dickens to look right at Hal when I do my show tonight. Because this way it looks like I'm actually looking at you guys. I tend to either look at myself because I'm a narcissist or look at the chats. Can't really help that too much. But I'm going to try to at least try to do eye contact for most of the show. Lance Chavin says, sounds good. Hello, Lance. Again, Superplex says, open the pod bay doors, Hal. I knew someone would catch that reference. Probably many people. Keith E. in the house. Okay, I'm here for the intervention. Have I missed anything? Oh, I've given up drinking. Not. I'm going to put my glasses on. I don't like the glare, but it's easier for me to read. Patricia, I'm going to butcher your last name. I'm very sorry. Patricia Gunzler is in the house. Hello, everyone. Have to watch later. Thanks for the video. Well, anyway, thanks for coming and saying hi. Please feel free to watch the video later. If you have any questions, pop them in now while you're still here, and we'll make a topic of discussion, and you can absorb such later. James Dye in the house says hi, everyone. A lot of people having fellowship. Dave Claroni says hi, gang. Dave, hey to you. Thank you for joining us. Cindy D says hello, everyone. Cindy D, hello to you, too. Sarita Abney says, hey, Thrash. Sarita, thanks for joining, by the way, and thank you for putting up with the fact that I'm sure I'm mispronouncing your name. Pat, the Golden Rage of TV is here. Hey, gang, what's this wascally wabbit up to? Silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids. Was just talking about the commercial the other day. Let's see, Daryl Johnson in the house. Bob! Daryl. And I'm going to try to keep up with the comments tonight. We had almost 1,000 at peak. Did you guys know that? Almost 1,000 once. And it's all because of you. You guys you're always there with your questions and your whats and your nots and your whatnots. Tom Laramie in the house says, hello, Thrash. Hey, everyone. Tom, hello to you too. Thanks for joining us. Zuplik says, Hal, I can't do that, Dave. Thank you for playing Superplex. Your check is in the mail. Let's see what else we got. Oh, just a lot of people saying hello to everybody. We're all having fellowship, as I like to put it. Any thoughts on what you guys want to have as the topic tonight? Dave, Cindy, et al. I've put together notes for the projects you requested. Dave, forever ago, you requested Jaws, hence the Jaws in the thumbnail. And Cindy, I did put together a review of the TV series Good Times for You as well. And some others as well, by the way. But I just wanted to let you know that our boys are in the air. I just saw another face. Oh, Big Guys 45s is in the house as well. Hi, lost 2 subs today. Doesn't that break your heart? I actually did some digging. I haven't lost a lot, probably over the course of my channel, maybe a dozen or so. But everyone that drops out, it breaks my heart. I don't know why I take them all personally. But anyway, I'm at 188. I'm this close to 200. And Big Guys, I'm very proud of you. If you haven't seen Big Guys 45's great music nostalgia channel, check it out. He has some great finds on music and music-related topics from, it seems, from the 50s to the 70s, a specialty. Darrell Johnson says, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Lance Chafin says, Daryl, I'm the first like. Very proud of you, Lance. Zuplik says, Hal, this mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it. Maybe our topic should be 2001, Oop, I just lost a good comment here. Oh, Golden Ranger TV said Halloween TV specials, very good. Keithy says it's never right, but I might have been the first thumbs up year, huh? Siri is killing me. That should say yeehaw. Yeah, that's why I read yours with great sincerity, Keith. I'm always afraid that I'm going to give a misread because Siri is constantly autocorrecting you. Oh, and Cindy D says, "Great thrash. That's why I'm a thrasher. Wouldn't you like to be a thrasher too?" Just to get the ball rolling, I think probably my favorite Halloween special has to be the Paul Lynde 1976. I believe that was the first time I saw Kiss on television. Um, Tom Lermy says, "Remember we were talking about Jackie Gleason's daughter?" Yes, Tom. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, Linda Miller. We were talking about Linda Miller. She was an American model who went to Japan to become a star. Did some TV and film while she was there. That is a different Linda Miller than Linda Miller, Jackie Gleason's daughter, who was in a couple things here in the States. Has a very famous son, a musician, I think. But that's a different Linda Miller. Tom, thank you for clearing that up. Appreciate it. Uh oh. So sorry about that. By the way, Newsweek just sent me a post on the war in Russia. Well, the war with Russia. I hope it's nothing too important. But anyway, I'm going to press on with us because to me, you guys are more important. Daryl Johnson says, I've been listening to 10-hour loop of the Halloween theme. I can't do it, but you know the one. It sounds like chimes. Big Guns 45 says, "Yeah, you are. Congrats. Hey, we'll get there in the end, won't we, buddy? We'll all get to our goals at some point." Big Guys 45 says, "I've honestly given up on getting sub 726 is still better than 600. If I could get to 1,000, I'd be super, super happy." Oh, Chrominion in the house. Hello to you, Chrominion. I see you saying hello to others, but hello to you as well. Daily Dan, the good stuff says, "I've arrived." Greetings, Dan. I'm sorry. It toasts bacon when I do that. I should say, good morning, Dan, but the point is made. Peanuts the Great Pumpkin, amazing Halloween special. Tom the Hungry Jerk says, "I met Linda Miller last year." Yes, but which Linda Miller? Jackie Gleason's daughter or the lady who did the Japanese sci-fi movies back in the 60s? Probably, well, I believe they've both passed on. Uh, the Glory of TV says, "This is a news escape." Yes, this is a news escape. We'll save the news for other people to cover. Oh, look who's in the house. Music Girl 67. Good evening, everyone, and happy first day of autumn. And she gives a beautiful, splendid pictorial of various autumn-related themes, all in that sort of umber color. Music Girl 67, it's always great to have you in the house. And apparently a lot of other people feel the same way. They're all having fellowship with you. And Oh Tom Hungry Drink says the Japanese movies. Didn't she just pass on recently, by the way? Apologies if she didn't. We've lost so many people in the last couple of years. Also, speaking of, I don't know if this counts as a Halloween special, but they used to show it, or at least I saw it around Halloween. It was that haunted scarecrow movie with I'm so ashamed I can't think of his name. And whenever I'm put on the spot, I can't think. But the guy who played Dr. Giggles. I saw that when I was 12, 13. I was visiting my grandparents in Plymouth. And my cousins and I watched that, and it scared the bejeez out of me. Zuplik says Japanese monster movies relied too much on men in rubber suits. Well, how are you supposed to do it? You didn't have CGI back then. The unapologetic geek is in the house. Says, "Hola, folks. Tug, always great to have you in the house." Oh, and by the way, he's been a little tight-lipped on it, but he's got a couple of projects coming out. So if you haven't subscribed to the Unapologetic Geek, please do so. I'm dying to find out what these new projects are. And if they're successful, they'll be ongoing in addition to his retrospects and public domain theater. And I have to say it like that. Let's just see who else we got going on in the house. Big Guys 45 says, Music Girl 67, hi, can we make up for what happened in the past? Thanks. Did you guys have a little tiff? Well, we're all friends here. Lance Chafin says, Larry Drake. Exactly. That is the exact person. And I knew I'd get there eventually. And Terrell Eugene Bellinger in the house. Hey, Terrell, welcome to the party. Says, hey, happy Thursday. Jason Patrick is actually the grandson of Jackie Gleason in real life. Yes, Jason Patrick was Linda Miller's son. That was the person I was thinking of. Not a musician, but he was in that movie, The Beast. Has anyone seen that? It's set during the Afghan war, not ours, the Russian one. Great little movie. Great little movie. Let's see what else we got here. Ziplik says we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. I've heard this sentiment prior. Tug says Japanese men in rubber suits are my bread and butter. That sounded much weirder than I intended. We understand the spirit in which it was said, Tug. But yes, the man in suit kaiju is a staple of sci-fi. Fred Smithberg says, hey y'all, hey Fred, welcome to the party. Glad you could make it. Music Girl 67 says, one of my favorite Halloween children's shows was from 1979, The Halloween That Almost Wasn't with Judd Hirsch and Mariette Hartley. You can find it here on YouTube. I remember that's one. That's where the witch decides she wants to set Halloween out, and the other Universal monsters try to bring her back into the fold. It's actually a very cute a Halloween special, and it has Lance, you're gonna have to bail me out again. The guy from Laughing, the little quirky guy who always did the weird voices. Very interesting. Let's see. Criminian says Pumpkinhead has been my Halloween movie of choice since the not late '90s. I know it's not a Halloween movie specifically, but it fits the creepy Halloween mode. It certainly does. It certainly does. My go-to, going back to 1985, my go-to has been, Night of the Living Dead. 1985 is when they first aired it on like network television, and I saw it and I fell in love with it. It's still one of my favorite horror movies of all time. James Dye says, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Where would sci-fi horror be without her? Crow Minion says, LOL geek. Tom Emery says, yes, Terrell, we talked about his daughter, Linda May Miller. Yes, Linda May Miller. The Golden Ridge of TV said, hey, I just uploaded the first Loretta Swit podcast episode to my Golden Rage of TV YouTube channel. If you haven't checked out his Linda Swit interview, now's your chance. Malcolm Expat says, are we live? Yes, Malcolm, we are live, and welcome to the party. Thank you for joining us. So far, just kind of talking about favorite Halloween specials, but concept is open. We're always game for any type of nostalgia, sci-fi, horror, old movies and literature preferred, but TV, music, anything nostalgia gets a fair shake on this channel. Lance Chafin says, I will check it out, Pat, after Thrash. Thank you. Kevin Scott 76 says, hello from Rocket City, Huntsville, Alabama. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the party. Zublick says, Pat, I didn't get a chance to hear your podcast because of this live stream. Don't blame me, Zuberplex. Darrell Johnson brings up an excellent point. Pat, how are you feeling? Yes, Pat's been very ill since he came back from Florida. Fortunately, it didn't ruin his vacation, but it certainly ruined the trip back home. Zublick says, Artie Johnson, thank you. It was killing me. I could see him. I could see him playing his day, but I couldn't think of it to save my life. Golden Ridge of TV says Monster Madness. That was the one with Phyllis Diller, the claymation one. I remember my parents showed me that when I was like 4 or 5, and it actually scared me. I think I have a copy of it laying around somewhere. James Dye also says Artie Johnson. Thank you. The Unapologetic Geek says Saturday the 14th. An old associate of mine actually worked on that. I had a friend years ago. And before I knew him, he actually went to Hollywood to make it in pictures as a special effects coordinator. This is right before computer animation came in and destroyed all other forms of special effects. But he worked on a couple of minor films, and one of them was Saturday the 14th. Um, uh, Music Girl 67 says, "Hey, this Cindy D doing fine now, Lance. Since I just got off work here on the West Coast, hope you're doing well also." That was very nice of you. Cindy D says, "Oh, I just lost her." Cindy D says, oh, I lost it. It did that thing where it all of a sudden jumps up. I guess I'm getting behind in the comments. I'm going to try to catch up as quickly as possible. Um, I've watched Halloween Town from Disney when my daughter was little. Loved them. A lot of people were reminding me it was Artie Johnson. Terrell Bellinger says Linda Miller, ex-husband Jason Patrick's father, was Jason Miller, the famous playwright actor best known for his role as Father Damon Karras in 1973's The Exorcist. Great fun fact. I did not know that. I have never known that. Let's see. 6079 Smith W says, "What are we chatting about?" New to the channel. 6079 will be your new nickname. It's a nostalgia channel. Today we'll be talking. I preferred is sci-fi horror, old films, and literature, especially. So tonight we seem to be gravitating towards favorite Halloween specials, but we're a nostalgia channel. Anything old TV, old music, old anything, all gets a fair shake. Old commercials. Daily Dan has been doing some great stuff with old commercials, and they're great. But we seem to be gravitating towards everybody's favorite old Halloween special. Corey's Comedy Channel is in the house. Hey, CCC. Glad to have you. If you haven't checked CCC out, Corey's Comedy Channel, some of the best dad jokes of all time, by the way. Great comedian. Love to watch him. And he says, "Yeehaw, Thrash is live. So good to see you. So good to see you as well, Darrell Johnson says, "Good to hear." Excellent, Darrell. I can always count on you for good news. Thank you. The Apologetic Geek says, "Something wicked this way comes." Seriously underrated. Great, great little movie. Zublik says, "Politics." No, 6079. We avoid politics like the plague. Zublik is our in-house cut-up. Let's just see. And Zublex, no, if we're not live, then we're Memorex. Music Rail 67 deleted a message and deleted message to you as well. Fred Smithberg says, "Anybody remember Rod Serling's Night Gallery?" I didn't know that existed until about 2 years ago. I grew up on that. It was always, wasn't born until 67, but I used to watch it on reruns and I fell in love with it. I've always been a sci-fi buff. I fell in love with the Night Gallery when I was in high school, and they started rerunning it faithfully. Rod Serling was decades ahead of his time. Love to talk about what your favorite episodes are, and I'd love to recommend a few that you may have not seen that you should check out. Cindy D says it's Memorex. Crow Minion says anything Bradbury is good with me, though. Ever see the Martian Chronicles? Remember that? It wasn't. It was not a Halloween special, but it was released to TV in the fall. So I saw it in the spirit of Halloween. The Unapologetic Geek says, "I love Night Gallery." Ah, yes, Rod Serling's other TV project. I was just talking about his adaptation of "The Devil Is Not Mocked" the other day. It's actually going to be appearing in one of my posts. So funny you mentioned that. And there's some other great episodes too, the Sin Eater and stuff like that. The movie's great too. The anthology film with Roddy McDowell et al. Okay, 6079 Smith W says Hopkins means son of Hob, and Hob is an old man for the devil. So either the devil's passionate about medicine or he's going to kill us with it. Not sure exactly what the spirit of that comment was meant to be in connection with, but we'll try again. If anybody has some insight, please feel free to throw it in there. Cindy D says, sorry, Superplex, I hit the wrong button. No worry. Oh, Golden Rage says, much better. Good, good. We're glad you're feeling better. Talman Army says, Artie Johnson, the guy. Uh-oh. I just lost you again. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm a little behind in the comments, guys, so bear with me. But I'll try to keep up on. Wow, I'm way behind. Anyway, so I'll try to keep up as much as I can. I guess the guy I was thinking of, Big S45 says, the music girl. That being said, no offense, but not everyone is rich, so some channels may not be in as good a quality as other channels. Just saying. Well, yeah, we all try to bring as quality, if not necessarily polished product. Let's see what else we got. James Guy says Richard Benjamin funny movie. Tom Hendrick says come down to the Oranita Theater next month. It'll be fun. Showing old horror movies, I presume. Number one dude in the house. I'm still on the clock and late, but glad to be here. Thrash, number one dude, so glad you could make it, even if you have to cheat a little to be here. Let's see, 79. Smith W says, Year of the Tiger, Bengal Tiger is in the Super Bowl. Hopkins means son of a Hob like Calvin and Hobbes. Hobbes is the Tiger, and Calvin Brodica's performance. Okay, I do remember Calvin and Hobbes, and I understand what the NFL is, but anyway, we'll keep trying, won't we? Let's just see what else we got going on here. Wow, I'm way behind. I'll try to catch up. Joe Johnson says, I wonder if The Burbs is on someplace. I saw that in the theaters years ago. Let's just see. Lisa Fields in the house. Hey, Thrash. Hi, everyone. I made it. Glad you could make it. It's not the same without you. Let's just see. David May in the house says hi from Montreal, Canada. Dave, how are you doing? Glad you could make it. BK on the air. Hey, Thrash, and howdy, everybody. BK, thank you so much for making it. If you haven't checked out BK on the Air's podcast, please do. I'm sure Dan's somewhere and we'll send you a link. Dave was just a guest on Ian's channel just the other night. I was there as well, and we had a lot of fun. Check it out. But you have to check out BK's podcast. Again, great nostalgia stuff. We were talking, and I never realized this. Showtimes in theaters were a fairly recent invention. Hitchcock demanded it with the release of Psycho because he didn't want people accidentally stumbling in at the end and ruining the ending. So he had theaters have set showtimes. In the old days, they would just loop films and you would walk in whenever you wanted and leave whenever you wanted. And I had heard of that practice, but I never knew it was Hitchcock who actually stamped it out. Moving forward, let's see what else we got here. Zuplex says, T-Pawns, you were going to redeem your promise on all those topics you failed to cover. Oh, yes. I've done all the research, had it all set up. I actually was filming it yesterday as part of my reminder of tonight's live chat, and my computer froze up on me. So rather than do one big long shot, I'm going to have two parts. So if you're not in the first part, you will definitely be in the second part. But my promises will be made good. And I'm skipping down. A lot of people having fellowship, and that's what we like to see. Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, what's your favorite TV spinoff, and what's your least favorite TV spinoff? I don't want to say least favorite. Let's call it more disappointing. One that I really had hoped was going to work and didn't was Aftermash, and I'm not sure why it didn't. I don't blame Jamie Farr. A lot of people say that Jamie Farr was great as a supporting character, but didn't quite have it as the main character. I think there was more to it than that. I think the show MASH was just edgier, and Aftermash tried to be feel good, and the credits didn't transfer. I did watch it. but I never watched it with the same love I loved MASH with, if that makes any sense. I mean, there were some other spinoffs that were just plain bad, but those never lasted. Can you say Joni Loves Chachi? Um, let's see. My favorite spinoff? That's an excellent question. My favorite spinoff would probably have to be The Jeffersons. I loved The Jeffersons. And it, of course, is a spinoff on All in the Family. Oh, Mike and Kathy are here. Hello, Mike and Kathy. Thank you for joining us. And they mentioned The Twilight Zone. Yes, great show. Great show. Zupalik says, favorite spinoff is Frasier. That's a very good choice. Tug says, favorite Frasier, the least favorite After MASH. Oh, so he agrees with me on After MASH. Frasier is a great spinoff, by the way. It really is. It actually surpassed the running time of the initial TV show. Big S45 says, Music Girl 67 seems to have a grudge against Porp. Big guys, I thought you guys decided to bury the hatchet. I'm sure Music Girl 67 does not disparage on people of a lower social class. 6079 Smith W says 6849 is the day the book 1984 was, and then he goes on to say published. I'm not big on numerology, but I'm guessing that would be June 8th of 49. But I'll take your word for it. Love the book, by the way. I do love the book, by the way. Wish there had been a really solid adaptation of it. I like the John Hurt classic. There's a Peter Cushing black and white version that was pretty good. No one's really been able to do 1984 justice, and that's a heartbreaker to me because it would be really nice to have a really good adaptation of this. Let's see. James Dye says The Martian Chronicles was really good. Yeah, you can actually find it, at least you could, up until recently, on YouTube. The Golden Age of TV says Steven Spielberg's first directing gig. Yes, the Night Gallery film. Gary Carpenter in the house says, hiya, Thrash. Gary, awesome to see you. Darrell Johnson, my cheerleader, is reminding everybody to hit like and subscribe, even though I lost his comment as I was saying that, but we all know what he wanted us to do. And I'm gonna have to kind of scroll down these really quick because I seem to be way behind. But wow. I'm actually scrolling up just to get back to where I left off. So please bear with me. You guys are just great in the fellowship department. I'm really proud of you. Okay, I think I'm kind of cut. Oh yes, here we are. Yes. Oh, 6079 says, sorry, I just saw you respond to my comment. I will give you a like if you have not already blocked me. I appreciate you. You haven't said anything blockable yet. Haven't really caught on to, the bottom line of what you're driving at, but so far nothing is blockable yet. As long as we all mind our manners, everybody's friends here. Mike and Kathy says Martian Chronicles, great miniseries. It sure was. Golden Range of TV says there should be more likes. There always should. David May says Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, both great shows as we've both been talking about. Tommy Jerk says met Roddy McDowell in '76 at a convention. He's one of the people I always wanted to meet, never get a chance to. Gary Carpenter says Sir Lancelot, hello there. Yeah, I call him Lancelot too. Grummington says when I was about 11 or 12, my dad took me to hear Ray Bradbury speak in Phoenix, a really fascinating guy to listen to. Always wish I had got a chance to meet him as well, by the way. Mike and Kathy says so many versions of Outer Limits. Yeah, I like the one from Canada in around 2000. Bam. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see, skipping down. A lot of people reminding me about Artie Johnson. Kevin Scott Smith 76 says, if you're not a fan of the song for the opening of Star Trek Enterprise, the audio from Battlestar Galactica 78 works much better. I made a video on my other YouTube. Excellent. Let's see, skipping down. Dave Sundstrom is in the house. Hello, Dave. How are you doing? And he asked Big Guys 45 to stop it with music. Girl 67, please. Yes, I thought the two of them had buried the hatchet. Apparently, I was in error. I haven't seen Music Girl 67 say anything bad towards anyone. So yeah, Big Guys, whatever it is, whatever affront that you think affronted you, please, let's live and let live, I think is what I'm trying to say. Lance Chafin says, where's Tracy at? Good question. Dave says, Big Guys 45, this chat should be a safe place for all. Number one dude says, Dave, the good stuff is in the house. He sure is. A lot of people cite that Dave is here. Oh, BK on the year says, Gargoyle TV movie scared the crapola out of me when I was a very wee tyke. Starring Bernie Casey. I think I have a copy there somewhere in my archives. Unless I think I may have given it to a friend. A friend of mine loved that movie, and I said, "Hey, guess what I got for you?" Let's just see. Oh, Dave says, Josh popping in for a few minutes, doing well. Dave, thank you so much for popping in. Your presence is always welcome. And by the way, since virtually all of my fans have come from your channel, it's a privilege to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway, out of nothing more than respect. If you haven't subscribed to Dave Sundstrom's channel, please do. He is the epitome of the Nostalgia channel. Please go check him out. When you're done with this one here. Daryl Johnson says Gargoyle still holds up. It really does. Gary Carpenter says, yep, that's a great movie. Skipping down. If I skip one of your comments, by the way, please forgive me. I'm trying to catch up I'm way behind. Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, wasn't Oz the controversial gritty prison drama that ran for 6 seasons considered to be HBO's first ever hour-long scripted original series? That sounds right. I am a fan. I have seen it. My wife loves it as well. She's living along that lines, but I believe you are correct. Tug says Hitchcock faced a lot of backlash from theater owners. They thought the idea of not letting people in after the start was super crazy. Up until that's what people did. They would actually just go in whenever they got there and then watch until they were tired of watching and then leave. There's a great story. Carol Burnett, iconic comedian Carol Burnett, her first job when she was like a teenager was in a cinema. And this young couple, she was a film buff before there was such a thing. This young couple came in on a date, wanted to go straight into the theater. And she goes, tell you what, this movie's going to end in just a couple minutes. Go and watch it from the beginning. And they go, no, we want to go in now. No, yeah. And she started arguing with them, insisting that they have to actually wait until the start of the next show. And it got heated. And the guy went and complained to her manager, and they fired her on her first night. But so opinion was divided. But clearly now, as a people of film fanatics, we understand that, yes, you're supposed to watch things from the beginning and not ruin the end. Spoiler alert. Fred Smithberg says Trapper John MD was also considered a spinoff with a question mark. Quasi. In fact, that's always bothered me because he was never visited by any of the other MASH alums. And that always bothered me. So I never really thought of it as canon. But I guess opinion was divided. Kevin Scott Smith says, 76 says Battlestar Galactica 1980 was a big disappointment. That was more of a continuation than an actual spinoff, but yes, it was terrible, with the arguable exception of the one with Gary Owens, which was a loosely adapted from Hell in the Pacific. That one was pretty darn good. Uh, let's just see what else we got going on here. BK on the news says, my West Coast nostalgic brother, Pat McCormick. Oh, yes, Pat is also in the house. Zublick says, did anyone watch Joey? I actually watched Joey more than I watched Friends. Dave Sutherland said favorite spinoff would be Frasier. Yeah, a lot of people said Frasier. Mine is The Jeffersons, but there's no wrong answer. Daily Dan, always good for giving a link. Has given a link to the Golden Age of TV. Thank you. Tug says Frasier getting lots of love. Baby, I hear the blues calling. Indeed. Gary Carpenter says my favorite spinoff would be Laverne and Shirley. At one point, that was the most popular spinoff in American cinema. And Dave mentions Pat will be joining Dave to talk about the careers of Ron and Clint Howard. And can we all not wait for that? That sounds like a lot of fun. Number one dude says Chachi in Charge was a good show. Let's just see. Daryl Johnson says, I'm lower class. Yes, as am I. James Guy says Mork and Mindy was a spinoff of Happy Days. It sure was. Zublik says, it seems like Music Girl 67 left. Hopefully she comes back. I'm still not entirely sure what happened. But I hope no feelings were hurt, and I do hope she comes back. No hard feelings. Whatever happened. And I'm sorry if those hard feelings were in fact yours. In other words, I'm sorry if someone hurt your feelings. I'll stop stumbling over my tongue and move forward. Gary Carpenter says, you mean Charles? Yes, I think that was the joke. Let's see. A lot of comments here. So I'm just going to try to catch up. About going backwards. You guys, I'm really seriously. I'm having a tough time keeping up with you guys tonight because you guys are so interactive, and that's great. But I'm going to see what I can do by reading really, really quickly and skipping down to see. Number one dude says Clint Howard was the ice cream man. He certainly was. Didn't he do an episode of The Outer Limits, the Canadian reboot from around 2000? Oh, Superplex says, quick, Emily's not here. Now we can share our real opinions. Oh, Superplex, don't start that again. Tug says, you've got so many fans you can't keep up, Thrash. Good problem to face, indeed, indeed. Corey's Comedy Channel says, have you seen the movie Constipated? It's not out yet. Oh, that is bad. That is bad. I love it. That is bad. Mike and Kathy says we love talking about this stuff. So do I. So do I. Daily Dances is the good stuff. Just gave a link to Corey's Comedy Channel. Please take him up on that. Gary Carpenter said V was the greatest miniseries, the original V. It certainly was. It certainly was. It was actually based on it was more of a political satire than a sci-fi series, but it ended up being a very, very good project. Tom Logan says, "Oh crud, I'm buffering." Well, I hope it's not me. If it is, I'm very sorry. The Unapologetic Geek says, if I might shamelessly plug, I do a video on the original V miniseries. I believe, yeah, you did, didn't you? I believe, in fact, I believe I made some excellent comment on it. Dave says to the Golden Age of TV, Ian told me he doesn't watch other people's live streams that often. Big Guys 45 says Music Girl 67. By the way, I'm not trying to bully here. I'm just criticizing your here. Again, big guys, if you said it was months ago, can we please bury the hatchet? We're all friends here, and I'm not taking sides, and I'm not saying who was right and who was wrong. But can we just try to remember that here we're all friends? Where was I? Zublik says Twilight Zone was better than The Outer Limits. The later scared the Bee Gees out of me. Lisa Field says, The Unapologetic Geek, I need to watch. You check out his channel. He's got some absolutely amazing stuff. He does some great retrospects. Dave says, gotta roll, folks. Have a great night and be kind. Dave, thank you so much for stopping in. Your presence is always welcome. Thank you very, very much. Mike and Kathy says, I liked V. A lot of people did. Skipping down. Good looking honky Pons. Hi, Peter North here. Okay. I don't know where this is going, so if you'd like to talk about old sci-fi horror films and TV shows, that's great. If not, I'm going to stop reading your comments. Skipping down. Music Girl 67, thank you, Dave and Thrash. Music Girl 67, no, thank you. We're all friends here, by the way, and I understand sometimes opinions, sometimes get the better of people and sometimes feelings get hurt, and I just want you guys to know that you're all always welcome here, and I want to thank you for sticking around, and it's appreciated. Keithy says, hey, Corey, after the joke, I'm signing up. Excellent. Let's just see. I think I'm almost caught up. Music Girl 67 says, I hadn't let Zuplex. I believe I had temporarily been blocked. I never blocked you. So unless one of my mods took it upon themselves to block somebody without my say-so, hopefully it was just a computer glitch, because I would hate to think that people I entrust my moderator abilities to would abuse their power. So I'm glad you're back in the game. And just a friendly reminder to everyone to not block my other guests, unless it is obviously that's what we need to do. Let's just see, skipping down. A lot of people saying that they're sorry about the blockage. Well, yes, we all are. Kevin Scott 76 says, what's a movie that should have turned into a TV series but didn't? That's a great question. I know that there were many that they considered adaptations. Probably most notoriously that I can think of is A Boy and His Dog. And we can all think of reasons why that really shouldn't be made into a TV show. But back in the 70s, when you had Planet of the Apes and other TV series, the Dylan Hunt project, A Boy and His Dog, in a very, very, very sanded down fashion, was considered to be made into a TV series. Again, I'm not saying it necessarily would have worked. That's the most famous story I could think of. Let's just see. Zuplex says Carol Burnett started out on the Gary Moore show. I did not know that. London Bridges says, hey, boss, have you ever been fishing down in the Everglades? No. Thank you, London Bridges. Gerald John says, did Pat leave? I think he may have. He just kind of said he was stopping in. Music Girl 67 says, don't worry, guys, and it's fine. I have nor would I want issues with anyone, and I did think the issue had been resolved, but maybe it hasn't. Again, a Music Girl 67, I'm sorry that it even came up on tonight's chat. Even Big Guys 45 said it was from months ago. So again, I'm not sure. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but maybe Big Guys 45 was just having a bad night. I'm not sure. But anyway, let's all just go back to the chat and having fun. We don't want to have any dampers or bad feelings. Skipping down. Cindy says, "Good times from Mud." Naturally, yes. That's another. Well, of course, there was a whole cascade, and it all stemmed from uh, All in the Family. Crominion says, "Dynamite." Lisa Field says, "Cindy D, I love those shows too." Actually, I think I'm all but caught up. But look who is here. Well, I'm almost caught up. Oh, for crying out loud. You know? Here it is, Dynamite. I'm skipping down because I just saw in the house. Emily Miller says, "Superplex, how are you?" Emily, thank you so much for joining us. We've been expecting you. James Guy says Clint Howard was also in the first Austin Powers. He sure was. Oh, Music Girl 67 says, "Going back to what Thrash mentioned earlier, I recently bought a copy of the Paul Lynde Halloween special on DVD recently, and I can't wait to check out this year." Again, it was just an amazing special. It was on YouTube. I don't know if it still is, but it was. A lot of people saying hello to each other. Fred Smithberg says, "What is everyone's first memory of an android robot in a TV show or a movie?" Mine, I think, was John Saxon. Day of the Robot from the $6 Million Man. I'm going to have to get back to you. I'm going to think about that one. That's a good one. That's a very good one. Emily Miller said, "Glad to know you're okay, Superplex." Let's just see. A lot of people saying hello to those who just came in. Oh, freshman. Gosh darn it. You know what? I'm going to start from the bottom, work my way back up. Daily Dan has just given us a couple more links. Great. Unapologetic because Robbie from the Forbidden Planet. Nick Momoas is in the house. Says hi, Gary. Hi to you, by the way. And a lot of other people saying hi as well. Let's just see. Oh, number dude says almost there, Thrash. Yeah, I'm gonna go backward to try to catch up this time. When I actually get to the first one that I ended with, then I'll know. T Pons is really backed up, yes, he sure is. Crummington says my grandma tried to take me to see that when I was a little kid. With the title "A Boy and His Dog," she innocently assumed it was a kid's movie. The theater guy thankfully told her it wasn't. Laugh out loud. That actually happened quite a bit. There were a lot of stories about that, like that. Mike Kelly says "A Boy and His Dog" is so weird. It really is. It really is. Actually, wow. That's it. I did catch up. If I missed your comments, feel free to repost them. But at least I'm caught up now. At least at the bottom of the page. James Guy says Metropolis is probably the first movie with a robot. Wig Farm says Danger Will Robinson. Gee, which one could you mean? Welcome, Wig Farm. My Kathy, Robbie the Robot. What movie? Forbidden Planet. Emily Miller says my first memory of a humanoid robot was Westworld. First memory is. Zuplik says Jaime from Get Smart. No, wait. It was Julie Newmar from Living Doll. Mine was also, by the way, before we get too ahead of ourselves, mine was Robot from Lost in Space. Then, and my parents bought me robots for Christmas, and I used to like have them fight each other, and they were my friends, and I was their king, and I was a very weird child, but yeah, I had a thing for robots when I was little, starting with Robot. Tug says, yes, it is, Gary, one of the best. I'm not sure. They're referring to a great movie which I missed. Forbidden Planet. Yes, of course. I know if I went backwards. This is the problem when you actually go backwards. You sometimes have to catch the thread of the conversation. And where else we get going on here? Emily Miller says, "Does anybody remember a movie about a pink stuffed poodle that would come to life?" Sorry, no. Music Girl 67 says, in terms of Halloween specials, we cannot forget the Rankin Bash classic Mad Monster Party. Yeah, the one with Phyllis Diller. We were talking about that one earlier, by the way. That one actually scared me when I was a kid. Well, I mean, like preschool kid. Tug, the apologetic geek, says, pushes glasses with a derisive snort. Actually, Maria, in Metropolis is an android, not a robot. Ooh, snap. Oh, Terrell Eugene Bellinger says Melrose Place was a spun off of Beverly Hills 90210. Originally a Gen X ensemble drama before it went so soapy and over the top after the addition of Heather Locklear midway through season one. Wasn't a big fan of either show, so I'll take your word for it. Thank you for the chronology. What Jammin says, hello, Thrash, and everyone's sorry I'm late. What Jammin is in the house. What Jammin, you got to check out his channel. Some amazing jokes, by the way. Knock knock jokes preferred. Gary Carpenter says Robbie the Robot was on the Addams Family in a bunch of episodes of Twilight Zone as well. Keithy says, okay, thanks for the follow-up on Get Smart. I just don't know where it fits into the timeline, but I'm sure they were copying someone. Oh, I'm certain they were. Probably something from the Twilight Zone. They had human androids in the Twilight Zone and whatnot. Probably something from Ray Bradbury, possibly as well. Tug says The Simpsons had some great Halloween specials back in the day. They sure did. The Treehouse of Terror. Absolutely amazing stuff. Gary Carpenter says Boris Karloff did both Monster Party and The Grinch. He certainly did. Right before he died, too. He died, I want to say, in 68. Fred Smithberg said so many props from Forbidden Planet were on the Twilight Zone. Yeah, that spacecraft was in a couple of them, now that you mention it. Well, Gemmin says, thanks, Rash. No, thank you. Superlex says, did you know Robot was a Czech play? And it means the labor of the peasants had to provide to the Lord of the Manor. I had heard that somewhere. In fact, I believe there was a Russian silent film about Mars discovering communism, and there they have robot workers and stuff. But yes, that does sound familiar. Let's just see. Gary Carpenter says, Geek, The Simpsons are getting too old. 33 years. The first episode was the Christmas special from 1989. Cindy D says, the professor in Lost in Space scared me too. Dr. Smith? I can see that. He was creepy. Hungry Drake says, I live 2 blocks from the Boris Karloff house in Vallejo, California. That's so cool. Dilly Dan has provided us with some more links. To the fat comic book guy. You got to check him out, by the way. If you like vintage comics, particularly the Gold Key stuff, he's got some great stuff. John Doe. Oh my God, John Doe in the house. Hey, John Doe. Sorry about being so late. But I'm trying to keep myself together. The place I live in caught fire. No loss of life though. Thank God. Oh, John, I'm so sorry. I hope you didn't lose too much of your stuff. I'm glad everyone's okay, and that is awful. I'm very, very sorry. Good luck to you. We had a fire in my house, in my condo complex years ago, and it's traumatic. It's just downright traumatic. Fred Smithberg says, I watched Willie McBean and his Flying Machine in elementary school. Never seen that one. Never saw that one. Lisa Field says, okay, I just looked up A Boy and His Dog, and all I can say is, wow. Laugh out loud. Yeah, like I said, it would have been a much more sanded down version of that. It would have been like Planet of the Apes, where they just kind of go from village to village, having little adventures, and nothing particularly is sordid or is disturbed. I thought it was odd that they tried to make it into a teleplay. If you've seen the movie, you'd understand exactly what I'm talking about. Like they want to bring this to television, really? Let's just see what else we got here. A lot of people having sorrow for John Doe, as do I. Uh, oh, here's one. Crow Minion. Wasn't there a Twilight Zone episode where a guy discovers near the end that he's actually a robot? Yes, there were a couple like that actually. I don't want to give out too many spoilers. Darrell Johnson said, "Movie about a pink stuffed dog. Why did it come out, or do we remember?" Emily says, "No idea, Daryl. Sorry. We'll keep at it." Uh, Daryl Johnson says, "Color black and white." Emily says she was really young, 60s or early 70s. Mike and Kathy said, "Ever see Robin Crusoe on Mars?" I own it on video and DVD. It's just one of my favorite vintage sci-fi movies. And the guy who stars in it, well, Adam West it co-stars in it, but the actual star kind of reminds me of the main character Maloney from Law and Order. Check it out sometime. You'd be like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's just see what else we got here. The Tug says Jordan Lies, the clown, and the automaton is probably the first robot on film, depending on how you define robot. Not familiar with it, so I will defer to your knowledge. Let's just see. Kevin Scott Smith says Star Wars: The Halloween Special, hosted by Darth Vader. I don't remember the Halloween special, so I'll take your word for it. Fred Smithberg says Twilight Zone, where Anne Francis discovers that she's a mannequin. Yep. Can you say Carnival of Souls? Terrell Eugene Bellinger says Family Matters, a spinoff of Perfect Strangers, originally focused on Harriet and Carl Winslow and their family before the arrival of Steve Urkel completely changed everything. Tony, Big Guys 45 says Tony Battles is 79 today, LOL. Cindy D says, is Max Headroom considered a robot or a computer? Ghost in the Machine. I would consider him a ghost in the machine. Azublik says, in the Twilight Zone, Inger Stevens discovers she's a robot. Tug says, I've got the Criterion of Robinson Crusoe on Mars. I should totally do a review of it. You totally should. You totally should. Gary Carpenter says, Tony Basil. Oh, Mickey. Tom Hungry says, I remember IDAK on Lost in Space. Not sure what IDAK is, so I'll take your word for it. Tom Laramie says, was Adam West in Robinson Crusoe on Mars? For the first part of it, yes, he was. And I don't want to give any spoilers, but yes, he was. Gary Carpenter says, does anybody remember the night Halloween was saved? I don't. Zublik says, I wonder if Elvira is still planning to do a Halloween show from Knott's Berry Farm this year. I didn't know she started to plan it, but it would be nice. Of course, I'll never get there. Tug says, I got to go, guys. Always fun. Good night, Thrash. Good night, all. Thank you so much for joining us, Tug. Be safe, be good, and I'll see you very soon. Kevin Scott Smith, Kevin Scott 76 says, "I was just kidding. That's not a real thing." uh, Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, "Didn't A Different World, the Cosby spinoff, become a completely different show after Lisa Bonet controversially exit between the first and second seasons?" It certainly did. It completely changed focus. It was still about um, young girls in college, but it was completely revamped. Grubinian says, the one I'm thinking of, the guy goes back to his hometown and nobody remembers him. He find out he's a robot who was created by a guy who grew up in the town. Yes, that was one. I can't remember the name of it. I've been racking my brains. It's one of the hour-long episodes, and the weird thing is when he goes back to the town, it's completely different than he remembers it. And the guy explains. He goes, "Well, because I programmed your memory banks from my memory of the town, which is 20 years old. So forgive me if I get a lot of stuff wrong." And in the end, he actually fights himself because he meets his creator. And I remember he says he funded the whole project because he created a calculator. This is back when calculators were culturally relevant. So he invented a calculator. It made him a millionaire. I just have to take a sip of grape crush. Pardon me. Uh, let's just see. Nicholas Momoa says, "I like the horror films spoofed by Abbott and Costello. I love all Abbott and Costello films, even the ones they didn't do for Universal." Uh, let's just see what else we've got on here. Zublick says, "Did you know the Andy Griffith show started on the Danny Thomas show?" I did know that. I've never seen that episode, but I did know that. Cindy D says Meg Ryan was supposed to play the part of Marissa Tomei played in a different world. Wouldn't she have been a little old for that part? But because Meg Ryan, yeah, Meg Ryan, she's a bit older than I am, and I was in college at the time. Oh well, who am I to judge? Uh, but again, I do remember the show. I do remember Marissa Tomei on it, and I can't remember why they canceled it. I think it just didn't have any traction after Lisa Bonet left. Um, Fred Smithberg says Caltron, but I thought you were Egyptian. Missed something there. It's probably a line from a movie. I'm sure I'll know it when I get the reference. John Doe says I really like Abbott Costello. They were always funny. I did. Um, in my area, Sunday mornings they used to show old Abbott and Costello films. They do like around like 10 o'clock. They'd show a Three Stooges for an hour, and then at like 11 o'clock they would do Abbott and Costello, and that was my rainy Sunday morning plan. Gary Carpenter says, "John, who doesn't like A and C?" Well, Jamin says, "I like Marissa Tomei and My Cousin Vinny." Oh, she won the Academy Award for that. Emily Miller says, "I prefer Abbott Costello over Laurel and Hardy." I do too. I do too. I have nothing against Laurel and Hardy. They did some great work, but if I had to choose, I'd go with Abbott and Costello. Let's just see. Corey's Comedy Channel says, "Great stuff, Thrash. I got to go. Run, my friend. Keep the good work. You're doing great. Best wishes." Corey, thank you so much for joining us. Take care. To all of you, when you're done with my channel tonight, please subscribe to Corey's Comedy Channel. He's got some great stuff out there. And Corey, have a great night. Tom Hungry Jerk says, "We'd watch Abbott and Costello after church on Sundays growing up." Yeah, it's about when it was on here, too. Lucy Field says Marissa Tomei was fired after the first season and then became a big star. Yeah, that's pretty much how it worked. Wasn't she fired because she did that movie, Angel Heart? It was considered too risque, so the network booted her. I'm getting like bells ringing in my head. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if anyone remembers that, please let me know. Fred Smithberg says, "I remember watching Gorilla at Large in 3D on television. Of course, the 3D didn't work for." Yes, you're right. You had to go to oh, what was that? Was that convenience store chain? Little Peach or something, and they sold you the glasses, and then you had to adjust the tint on your TV, and it never worked. And it wasn't a great film to start with. uh, John Doe says March of the Wooden Soldiers is my favorite. Emily Miller says I also love Hope and Crosby and Martin and Lewis. How could you not? Kevin Scott 76 says arguably the original Star Trek is a spinoff of Bonanza. Way in the future. Gene Roddenberry, the creator, talked about that. I believe it was Wagon Train and not Bonanza, but I see your point. What Jemin says, Untamed Heart. No, I think the Lisa Bonet movie was Angel Heart with Robert De Niro and Mickey Rourke. Oh yeah, number one dude just says with Rourke. Yes, with Mickey Rourke, and let's just say that film kind of pushed the envelope of late '80s cinema. And Lisa Field says that was Lisa Bonet Thrash. I thought we were talking about Lisa Bonet. If we weren't, I apologize. Gary Carpenter says, Fred, ever heard of Gorilla at Large? Boris Karloff was in. He was. I don't recall that. Cindy D says that was Lisa Bonet. She got pregnant and fired. Oh, because of a pregnancy. I think some people were talking about Lisa Bonet, and I think some people were talking about Marissa Tomei, and I thought we were still talking about Lisa Bonet. Both of which were in a different world. Nicholas Momoa says no, that was Lisa Bonet in Angel, not Marissa Tomei. Say that 5 times fast. What happened was we were talking about stars that left different worlds, and I thought we were still talking about Lisa Bonet because she was an Angel Heart. I'm not sure why Marissa Tomei was fired. It doesn't help that they're Bonet and Tomei. You say Bonet, and I say Tomei. So, but yes, I do know it was Lisa Bonet was an Angel Heart. But I don't know why Marissa Tomei was fired. If you want to, feel free to enter in the comments below. As the book says, I thought Gene Roddenberry described Star Trek as wagon train set in space. Yes, we were just discussing the differences there. Cribbington says that was a freaky and disturbing flick. Angel Heart, it sure was. John Doe says, remember when technically the Flintstones crossover there was technically a crossover with Star Trek. Yes, it was the Fruity Pebbles commercial, I believe. Of course, Government Jones says, you're too kind, Thrash. Thanks for all your support. Good night. All keep smiling. Peace and chicken grease. Fred Smithrick says to Gary Carpenter, Boris Karloff was in Girl at Large. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think he was either. He did do a Killer 8 movie, and I forget the name of it, but it was black and white and not 3D. But I think it was just called The Ape, or The Gorilla, or The Ape Man, or The Ape Gorilla, or The Gorilla Ape, or it was called something. There were words in the title. Gary Carpenter says, Fred, I'll have to look for it again. Number one dude says Marissa Bonet and Lisa Tomei. Thank you for muddying the mix. Zublik says, which one was prettier? I'm going to have to give it to Lisa Bonet. Marissa Tomei was very attractive, but I got to go with Lisa Bonet on that one. I'm sorry. Crimmington says, you say potato, and I say potato. The Christopher Walken bit. You say... No, Chris, you got to... But look at the cue cards. It says, you say potato, and I say potato. All right, I'll stop that there. Gary Carpenter says, Bella Lugosi. Yes, I think it was Lugosi, even though he spelled it wrong, but I don't know how to spell it right, so I'll defer. Emily Miller says, I say tater. Tater. You say tater, and I say commentator. I'm sorry, I don't know where that came from. Zuplik says, did anyone see Boris Karloff in Target? That was his last film, and yes. John Doe says the Flintstones in the Star Trek universe at Bedrock was on a different planet. I'll buy that. Emily Miller says, Groomington says taters and maters. Emily Miller says Marissa was more cute than sexy. I'll buy that. Her daughter Zoe looks just like her. Similar. I'll give you that much. All right, I got to tell this joke. So, the king and queen of Potato Land are distraught because their daughter, the Princess Potato, is going to marry Peter Jennings. And the king puts his foot down and says, "Your mother's a royal potato. I'm a royal potato. You're a royal potato. There's no way in hell you're going to marry a commentator." Peter Jennings. Anyway, where was I? Here we are. Zublik says, "I thought Sabrina LaBeouf was prettier. Where did she come from?" John Doe says, "Would you buy that? I'd buy that for $1. Would you buy that for $1, Thrash?" I probably would. Music Girl 67 said, "Would you consider Happy Days a spinoff since it was originally a segment on Love American Style?" I consider that portion to be the pilot. And it was picked up because, that's where Love American Style got most of its scripts. People would try to produce these rom-com sitcoms. And of course, 90% of them weren't picked up, but they would do a pilot. And Love American Style would buy the pilot for pennies on the dollar and splice them together and make a show out of it. And nobody noticed. But the production values were good because these were being made for network television. Some horror anthologies did the same thing. And I've heard that's actually where a lot of horror anthologies at least got the scripts from unsold script pilot ideas. But yeah, to answer your question, let's just say that was the, much like the Andy Griffith Show, the pilot was in the Danny Thomas Show. Let's see what else we've got here. Gary Gabriel says, "I thought Jane Kennedy was a pretty girl. Can't place her to save my life. But it's a pretty name." Serena Abney says, "Thrash, a good one. Thank you. That's actually one of my top 10 dad jokes spots." Fred Smithberg said, "I heard about the exploitation at French Cheese Factory. There was nothing left but debris." I'm going to read that one again because it goes word. "I heard about the explosion at the French Cheese Factory. There was nothing left but debris." Oh, Ramon. That's a good one. Well, you heard about the circus fire, right? It was intense. I once got lost in House of Mirrors. I was beside myself. Then I fell into a lens grinder. I made a spectacle of myself. Nothing. All right, let's see. Dominion says, "Talk about a cheesy joke, but I'm pumped." Dublik says, "Love American Style was an anthology series." What do you think I just said? Yes, because they took these pilots and edited them together. You know what? Check it out in rewatch. Mervyn Jensen's sci-fi, gorgeous. Can't place her. Give me bearings and coordinates. What else was she in? Sabrina LaBeouf was the eldest daughter in The Cosby Show. Thank you. The butler who was... I just lost it. The butler who was in The Family Affair did an anthology horror show. Can't remember the name. He did. Sebastian Cabot, and he did, and I can't remember it. I do remember the show. Number one dude says, "I like it. Keep them coming, Thrash." Fred Smithberg said, "I used to be indecisive, but now I'm not sure." That reminds me of the line, speaking of Mork and Mindy, when he says, he was talking about how on Orc, they have no emotion. And they go, "Yeah, we put it to a vote, and 4 billion people went, meh." that they're not emotional. Oh, Cindy D says, "Did you ever see the Love Boat movies before the show? They were awful. Only Douglas Kramer produced the show. When Aaron Spelling came on board and got the right cast, the rest is history." A Music Girl 67 says, "That's super interesting, Thrash. I didn't know about the Love American Style. I remember the animated series. Wait till your father gets home. Came from Love American Style. Also, it that I did not know. I certainly remember that Tom Bosley did the voice of the father. Um, but I honestly I did not know that." Gary Carpenter says Thrashpondo, ouch and double ouch. Charlie Jean Bellinger says, "Do you think that the Flintstones and the Simpsons both helped lay the groundwork for the modern adult animated sitcom?" Definitely. Absolutely, positively, definitely. Let's just see. Tom Laramie says, "Bone, Tome, let's call the whole thing off." Classic, classic. We could do a whole musical out of this episode. We sure could. But holy cow! Do you guys know that it's like 9:15? And I'm not saying I'm pulling the plug, but if you have anything you want to read into the record, now's as good a time as any, because I'm probably going to call it sometime after 9:30. That's the hour and a half mark. Although somehow I have no idea when this happens. For some reason, my number of viewers always jumps up right where I decide to call it a night. Zuplex just says, "What would be really interesting is to see Tomei and Bonet make out." Zoop, Zoop, Zoop. We've talked about this. Yes, we understand you're a dirty old man. So many of us are, but we don't need to drive the point home. Emily Miller says, "Need more cowbells." What the song needs is more cowbell. And I know that is the weakest Christopher Walken impression in history. I actually want to do a version of the song "These Boots Are Made for Walking" in a Christopher Walken impression. these boots, these boots, right here, to which I am wearing, will one day be walking in a manner perpendicular to your body frame. And that's all I can do on such short notice. But I'm sure if someone who could actually do a better Christopher Walken impression could make that work. Maybe. Oh, Tom Longer Jerk says, "Gotta go, guys. Thanks, everyone. No, thank you. Thank you for joining us." John Doe says Simpsons was a ripoff of Flintstones, and the Flintstones was a ripoff of the Honeymooners, the originator. I can see where you're going with that. Although I still think the Simpsons is more of like an anti Father Knows Best. Same number of children, only the father is an idiot. Well, you know what they said about The Simpsons? The Simpsons isn't a comedy. The Simpsons is a drama written by stupid people. And that's what the creators said. A lot of people saying goodnight to Tom. I will say goodnight once again. Chrominian thinks these boots are made for walking. LOL. I work with what I got. Fred Smithberg says Hollywood would ruin it, but if they made a Johnny Quest live action movie, what actor could play Race? Would be good for Race Bannon, the most important character. Um, these days, uh, because if we could do a mystic timetable, you could just pick like any actor from any period. I would go with Robert Shaw from Russia with Love. I think he kind of captured it. If you want to talk about current actor, I don't know. Oh, that guy. He's actually from Massachusetts. I can remember his name. Um, that guy from Burn Notice. He'd have to dye his hair, but let's see. James Dye says Walken was good in the rundown. Here's one for you. if they decided to do another Flash Gordon reboot, which they're actually talking about, the guy from Jojo Rabbit is actually talking about doing it. Who would you cast as Flash Gordon? And who would you cast? I'm saying one of the Hemsworths would make a Flash Gordon. But what I really want is I want Jason Momoa to play Hawkman. The rest will kind of fall into place. Let's see. Oh, Brad Pitt for Race Bannon? I can see that. He's a little long in the tooth, though, isn't he? But again, we're doing the the mystical lineup where you can take people from different time periods. Keith E says, I tracked your number of people in the room, and it's usually 25 people are always coming and going. Do you have a big, ugly bouncer at the door? I used to be a bouncer. Whether it was big or ugly, I leave up to you guys. Fred Smithberg said, yes, yes. Good one, Thrash. With Robert Shaw, 007. Thank you, yeah. I think he really captured it. But Walter Pigeon as Dr. Quest. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Let's just see what else we can do on here. I think I'm caught up again. Wow. One who's never cease. You know, it's funny. I'll be like caught up and all of a sudden, and then I'll catch up again. James Dunn says Robert Downey Jr. is Dr. Quest. You know, he might be able to do it. I don't know. But then you'd have to have Scarlett Johansson play Johnny Quest. Sorry. Why not? Emily Miller says, I don't remember Quest well enough to offer an opinion. That never stops me. That's the great thing about this channel, is that everyone is welcome to their opinion, no matter how unapplicable it is. James Dye says Black Widow was dead. That's not very nice. Number one dude says Othello starring the Dice Man. As in Andrew Dice Clay doing Othello. There's a joke in here somewhere, and I'm just not getting it. That sounds like a reference to something. Mikey Cathy says, I still watch Quest at 67. Did you ever see the Birdman Attorney at Law, where they do the custody battle between Dr. Quest and Race over Johnny Quest? You have to check it out. It's hysterical. Gary Carpenter says, Downey is Quest. Yeah, I don't see Robert Downey Jr. as, you know who might be able to pull it off? Now, hear me out. Any Breaking Bad fans in the house? Yeah, I think Bryan Cranston could probably pull it off. Again, he might be a few years too old, but again, we're doing the magic timetable where you can do any actor from any period and make a like a fantasy football. We're doing a fantasy casting. I like that. Fantasy casting. I like that. I have a fantasy casting for Thundar as well. Thundar the Barbarian, obviously. James Dice has complained to the red-faced floaty guy. Are you talking about Dune? Emily Miller says, fine, I'll throw Depp and Reynolds into the convo. Just, there's no wrong answers. It would be Unknown Kids, Gary Carpenter. James Guy says, never seen Breaking Bad. Well, Bryan Cranston was also the dad in Malcolm in the Middle. Fred Smithberg said, Herculoids versus Thunder the Barbarian. Who would win? Well, Herculoids have the numbers. John Doe says, have you ever seen Ernest doing Shakespeare? Oh, it's the weirdest because Shakespeare is spoken properly and done really well, but it's Ernest. I can actually see that. Fred Smithberg says, I like the idea of fantasy casting. That could actually be fun. I could do a whole show on fantasy casting. Guys, mull that over. Tracy Meyer says, hi, guys. Sorry I'm late. No worries, Tracy. And if you need to get to bed early, that's okay because we're about to wrap things up. I know usually it's like I gotta go to bed, guys. Tracy, it's so nice to see you. It's quite all right that you're late. Any appearance from you is worth it. Right now, we're doing fantasy casting of, well, whatever you want. It started with Johnny Quest, but we're also doing Flash Gordon and others. And if you have any favorite Halloween episodes or TV specials, now's as good a time as any to read them in the record because, again, we're kind of wrapping things up. Let's just see. Criminal Scissorplex, nip it in an Australian accent. Nip it. You gotta nip it in the pod, mate. You bogan. Funniest Australian story of all time. I was bartending and some regulars come in and they have a friend of theirs who was actually from Australian. And scamp that I am, I said to the person, he ordered a beer, and I said, I'm very sorry we don't have Foster's. And he starts laughing and he goes, we don't drink Foster's, we make it for export. I'm like, leave it to the Yanks, and I get the joke. Emily Miller says, choose a movie for your next video and we'll cast it, probably badly, but we'll cast it. You know what? Let's do Thunder the Barbarian. It's not a movie, it's a kids' TV show from the 70s into 80s, but we'll start with that. Kenneth Wilkinson says, hi, Bob. Ken, welcome to the party. We're just wrapping things up, but so glad you could make it even at this late stage. I'm trying to think of another. Okay, you want to do a movie just for laughs? A modern reboot of Casablanca. You folks make the cast. Tricky, I know. Let's just see what else we got here. Well, again, we're sort of one. Oh, Zuplik says, who is the big black guy who is a cross dresser? He could play Johnny Quest. Oh, in real life. You wanted to play Johnny Quest. You're a geek. Gary Carpenter says, Thrashpondo, I've got a friend of mine in Melbourne. That's really cool. I subscribe. He's not really a friend; he's more of an associate. But Terry Talks Movies. He's from Australia, and of course, Minty with his 10 things you didn't know about movies. Kevin Scott Smith says Space Command is a crowdsourced web show that has the 1950s sci-fi feel, made by a writer of Sliders and some. Yes, you know, what is his, the Mr. Sci-Fi guy. He also, he did write for Sliders. Emily Miller says, so next video we cast Casablanca, put your thinking caps on. Yes, but I also want, Mike Xerxes, yes, is the Mr. Sci-Fi guy. I also want requests for Thunder the Barbarian castings. Let's just see what else we got here. Music Girl 67 said Halloween is Grinch Night is a pretty cool Halloween special. Also, you can find it here on YouTube. Trevor Meyer said Forlorn Gorn. Oh, well, here today, Gorn tomorrow. Hair today, Gorn tomorrow. And Emily Miller says the only black guy I can think of is RuPaul. I'm sure that was it. I was trying to. It was on the tip of my tongue. He just had a show himself recently, didn't he? He was on SNL not too long ago. Well, it was probably before the pandemic. Timing's nothing to me anymore. But if you haven't seen it, check him out. He was great on the on SNL. In any event, so I think we're gonna kind of need. Oh, Gary Carpenter says Thrashpondo. You mean Bald Minty? Yes. With his 10 things you didn't know about this movie or that movie or anything. Emily Miller says, so we're casting for Thundar and Casablanca? That's going to be one hell of a chat. Well, aren't all my chats one hell of a chat? Well, you can pick one or the other, or do both if you see fit. I have some suggestions for both. But I think I'm going to kind of wrap things up here. Any last minute, any things I forgot to cover tonight or questions that I was supposed to answer and didn't? Uh, John Doe says, "What comedians would make a weird remake of a classic drama?" Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, Turtle Eugene Bloom says, "Gotta go. My dinner's here. Good night, Thrash. Good night to you as well." Uh, Emily Miller says, "Everybody hit that thumbs up before you go." Yes, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I am so close to 200. I can taste it. Um, but just watching to see if there's. Gary Carpenter says, "I thought so. I watch him sometimes." Oh, Gary Carpenter says, "Good night, everyone." Yes, folks. Good night. I've had so much fun tonight. And thank you for your patience. I know when the comments really start pouring in, it's hard for me to keep up with it. But it just means how interactive you guys are. You guys really make this show. You really, really do. And I have so much fun doing it. And if I miss a couple of your comments, please, please, please bear with me. Um, I do try. I can only read an impresario so fast. But again, I had so much fun tonight. Thank all of you for making it. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very, 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 very soon. And again, just be safe. Take care. And night, folks.